let's do the buffalo. Okay. So it's a herd animal. They're obviously en masse, aren't they? And that comes with great strength for being in a herd. There's protection in numbers, there's protection in herd, but there's also some weaknesses in that, isn't there? In how that operates. So yeah, let's dive into buffaloes.
Or as my wife likes to say, the resting bitch faces of the savannah.
Yeah, don't quite know what they're thinking, right? Just looking at you, going, I'm just going to assess you. Yeah,
I guess the starting point on buffalo, and not everyone includes buffalo in the big five, and it's the one that I think gets left off most people's lists when they say, what's the big five? Is it cheetah or something like that? But buffalo's in there because they used to be that years ago, decades ago, they were the trophy kill that hunters used to go looking for, and that was part of the big five there. But I guess the buffalo with any way of living or surviving, there are learnings that work, and there are non-learnings that hold you back. And I think the sense of you are safer in a group, many people can resonate. We don't use the word safety, but we use the word enjoyment. We want to work together as a team rather than be out there by ourselves, where yes, it can be lonely. It can also be quite dangerous in the in the animal kingdom.
Lone wolves.
Lone wolves out there. And there is strength in a herd. And there is a lot of, if you take the positives, there's the ability to protect the young, to bring them through, to teach, to educate. It's in that business world, you can bring people through into the organization at a younger age, a less experienced, and you can bring them through. You can educate. You can have training schemes. You can, as a sizable team, you can invest in that education and the time to develop into strong skills, so that those people can add value to your organization and to the clients and customers that you service. And the pride always has is a matriarchy. It's got strong leadership by both the bulls and the females, and they got different roles. I remember seeing once where the pride of lions was hunting the herd of buffalo, and they'd identified a week-old female cow because she was slower than the rest of the herd, and they basically encircled the buffalo in a water hole. And when you're watching, you're never sure if you're team lion or team buffalo. And it's like, do I remain neutral? It's really hard to remain neutral when you see nature in its, I guess,
brutal moments,
brutal rawness. What it showed was that if there is definitely safety in being in numbers and being surrounded by people who are stronger than you, more knowledgeable than you, and other buffalo. And so the lions basically jumped on this buffalo.
This doesn't have a happy ending, does it?
Well, actually, well, it depends if you're a lion or a buffalo.
Yeah.
Because the rest of the herd moved on. The lions were all over the back, and there must have been 7 or 8 lions jumping on this buffalo thinking, you're gone. But within about 10 seconds, the main bull who led the herd basically turned around and said, I'm not having this. Got his brothers, cousins, whatever. I don't know what the gene pool was. And basically 20 buffalo came running back.
Oh, wow.
Straight at
the lions. Yeah, I wouldn't.
The lions saw them coming saying, do we finish the kill or do we... They legged it.
No way to bail. Yeah.
Never quite found out the ending, but what we saw was that the herd came back, protected the weaker one. The weaker one went with them. The ranger said, I think they've done enough damage that they'll probably finish it off later tonight.
Could you not have told me the nicer version? Come Team Buffalo.
My wife was the same.
Yeah.
She went from Team Lion to Team Buffalo. Team Lion had cubs to feed.
Oh, it's so tough.
Yeah, so
animal world is so brutal, isn't it? So if that's the weakness then, right, or sorry, the strength rather, you see the strength in the herd and the protection mechanisms and how you can support and you can grow and you can survive and thrive. There's got to be some weakness, right? Because everything's in balance. What do we think the weakness is?
We see this a lot in the workplace, or at least I believe the weakness is that everybody has herd mentality. You know, whether or not you have a different train of thought, whether or not you've got another way of doing it, whether or not you've got something that almost goes against the collective thinking, how do you show up? And do you have what I think at the moment is quite pivotal in any business moving forward is that psychological safety of being able to voice different trains of thought, different thinking, something slightly different in a way that everyone around the table isn't going to look at you and go, huh? You know, come again? And I think that's, you know, if you constantly have that herd mentality, you never evolve. You never think out the box. You never have the best version of the individual showing up. You always have the average of the herd. And I think that in today's world, that is a dangerous space to play. You don't want to be average. You want to be exceptional. And how do you be exceptional? You create an environment where the team or those that you have cherry-picked to be part of your team have the space to show their best version, whether it's their experience, whether it's, you know, workshopping and having that safety or, you know, this is a really dumb idea, but, you know, how often I know, particularly, you know, when I was younger, I used to sit around the table and go, I might be completely off, guys, but have we thought about this? And a lot of the times it's those people in the room that say the things that others are too scared to voice. And imagine a world whereby everyone felt safe enough to voice their thoughts and the best version of themselves. And, you know, what a powwow team, a powwow house you would have. And it's not to say, you know, everything will be taken and everything will be accepted and adopted by the herd. But if there's a golden nugget there that's been overlooked and somebody's thought about it and they're sitting on it, you're never going to mine the golden nugget. You know, it's just going to sit there and it's not actually going to materialize and you're never going to get the value from the individual sitting in the herd. You're only going to be the average of the herd as opposed to everybody bringing their best version. And then you're able to constantly evolve, to grow, to pick things.
I think you're so right. You have to have psychological safety. You have to have good governance in order to allow people to be the best version of themselves, to show up, give you an idea that's completely out of left field and you go, wow, we hadn't thought about that. Because you don't want a team of yes people. There's no friction, and friction's good for business. Friction is needed. You know, even if an idea is not quite going to land now, it might land in 6 months, or actually it's a real golden nugget. It needs work, right? Team, go off and come back to me with a plan of action of how you're going to deliver that or what it looks like, scope it out, you know, project it forward. Because, you know, that constant evolve state has to come from somewhere, and it comes from people challenging, and it comes from people raising their hand going, hang on, I've had a good idea. So I think that's where we see the weakness, right? If you don't have that in your business and you don't have that to help you move into different states, you know, move out of pivotal moments, then you're going to just recycle the same stuff. And as we've just said, the outside environment is changing.
You become irrelevant.
It potentially becomes irrelevant.
I think your point is a good one. It's groupthink is dangerous because it's, you know, it's the lemmings off the cliff.
Yeah.
One jumps off so that they all jump off.
Yeah.
And it's you can't. You need diversity of thought, diversity of opinion in a room. And that can be challenging. And not everybody...
Not always welcome.
Not always welcome.
No.
But in the right atmosphere, if the right environment is created to encourage people to actually constructively challenge. There's no point being destructive.
No.
Because, people are human. They're going to react in a human way. But if you're constructive and saying, actually, I know we were going to go to that pasture over there, but I've heard this pasture over here might be better. Go back to our buffaloes. Yeah. And, and if someone in the herd can say, actually, should we go in that direction? There might be good reason not to. But at least it's a new idea, and its ability to change. And you have a thought coming through, and I know it's not part of the big five, but it's the HiPPO. It's the HiPPO syndrome, which is highest paid person's opinion carries. And I've seen that multiple times in boardrooms, in leadership teams, where to me, the error made is that the CEO or whoever is leading the organization has the strongest voice, goes first every time. And people fold in and say, yes, what a great idea. Absolutely, let's do that. Or let's not do that. Great idea, let's not do that. To me, I've seen very strong outcomes come from teams where the leader goes last. And the people are given the freedom to say what they truly think in a constructive way. And from that, the leader may actually disagree and may put their opinion and say, actually, I still think this. Or they may change their mind and say, actually, I hadn't thought of it in that way. Yeah. Or you're closer to that than me. Or, and it might just not be an individual. It might be a bigger team's talking into a small leadership team. But it's that ability to try to get away from following one person, one bull in that buffalo herd, and so that you can not just survive, but you can get back to thriving and identifying what your success factors are, and what do you need to change in order to change your organization. Because if you've got a success factor, which might be multiple things, it might be I want to exit for X million pounds, or I want to double the size of the organization in 2 years, or I want to deliver enough good in this area, if it's purpose driven. Whatever your success factor is, that's a difference to what you're doing now. Therefore, you have to change.
Yeah.
So to deliver success, you have to change. Yeah. And to change, you need diversity of thought. And to get diversity of thought, you need to have an area which is safe for people to bring diversity of thought, and a receiving mechanism where people can actually hear it, listen to it, digest it, and act on it.
Yeah, I agree. Before we move on from Buffalo, there is one of the things probably that we haven't mentioned in terms of a bit of a weak spot for them. And we talked about, the resting bitch face and just chewing and looking. And we talked about the fact that yesterday they often will see the enemy on they see the lions on the horizon, and they just stand there and wait and watch. Let's just see how they're going to maneuver. And we talked yesterday about how businesses can be very similar to that. There's competition on the horizon. There's an external threat on the horizon, but we're just going to sit and watch it. And we're not going to act on that. And we see that in the animal world, but we see it in business as well, don't we, as well, where people just won't move forward, or think it's just going to go away.
Yeah. It's so true. Where businesses can be very stuck on a certain strategy, certain business plan. This is what we put in our budget. This is what we put in our 5-year plan. This is the way we're going to go, and not react to changing environments. That's what are your competitors doing? How is technology changing? What's going on with governance across the world? What's happening with politics? Whether it's the macro level, the micro level. What's happening with the tax, geopolitically, local tax situations? There's so much change out there, and therefore being wedded to a plan that you wrote in the past, whether it's near past or distant past, and not being willing to change is a threat. Is a threat to your business, because your plan was written without the knowledge of some of those changes. Yeah. Whether it's what is the impact of AI, How should we adopt it? How should we not adopt it? Where should we use it? Where shouldn't we? What's the changing world now? US is under a new administration. If you'd written your plan 2 years ago, you'd have a very different view on what the US administration was going to be doing. So, or where is technology going outside of AI, or what is the Labour government and the tax changing to businesses and to individuals? How does that impact your plan? So there's a need to be reactive to change and to be also proactive. You can't always just react to, hit that brick wall, change direction, go to the next brick wall. Sometimes you need to navigate a path that actually we can avoid all the brick walls in.
And I think that's the strength in fractional CFO territory, right? Because we don't sit in businesses all the time. So we do have an outside view, and then we go, did you know about this? And you bring that in, don't you? And you bring that external, it's like someone opening the door and letting the fresh air in. We're like, oh, there's a breeze. Just so you know as well, they're all standing outside waiting to shoot us. So it's being able to adapt to the external threat and know what the external threat is, because the hamster wheel's going, right? So they're all running around and going, oh my God, I've got all these things to deliver. I've got these clients to deliver. I've got to service clients, over Europe or America. Hamster wheel, hamster wheel, hamster wheel. And you don't realise, as you say, the environment's changed. Anything else we want to say on buffalo, because we've still got some big animals to get through?
I think we go to the next one.
We're good to the next one.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.